So this is for you.
What is that?
Feel free to open it. Welcome to the Premier League's Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much.
Fully deserved.
Very nice, thank you.
Great challenge by Tony Adams. Rio Ferdinand to check has pulled off a wondrous save. It's another Alex Ferguson party. The Highbury hero, Arsene Wenger.
Legend.
Maybe you're not an Arsenal fan, but you have to be a Wenger fan.
I would use the word probably inspiring. I think he's challenging this football to open doors and open the mentality, and he opened the door for many other foreigners to come and join the league to make it better.
It's difficult to imagine today the context, you know, 96 was the first foreign manager in the Premier League, completely unknown, Arsene
Who? After all the Arsene Who, when he first got here, he made us realise that we could be whatever we wanted to be. We could be champions.
It was the 1st of January 1989, and it was totally by chance. And he came to our game. Arsenal were playing Spurs that day, and he was on his way to Monaco. And he didn't look like an average football manager. He was in his long trench coat and with, which looked like terrible national health spectacles. I said, "And what are you doing tonight?" He said, "Nothing." And I said, "Well, my wife and I are going out for dinner at a friend's house. Would you like to join us?" And remarkably, his next answer changed all our lives. He said, "Yes, I'd be delighted to." After dinner, we were playing charades. The next minute, he's acting out A Midsummer Night's Dream. And I thought, this guy's a bit unusual. Then as I got to know him, and he speaks 4 or 5 languages, highly intelligent.
Okay, when you like.
And so, to what's been the school for scandal in recent seasons comes the scholar. Arsene Wenger, armed with economics degree and master's diploma, hoping to teach Arsenal the French football philosophy.
It took so long because I was under contract until December, and that my club didn't want to release me because we are in a very good position in the league. And they needed some time to find a new manager.
And I had this image. I can remember distinctly. Arsene for Arsenal. It's written in the stars. It's going to happen one day. But we waited until another 7 years until we brought him in.
We're very pleased to be able to introduce to you today our new manager, Mr. Arsene Wenger.
Good afternoon. I didn't want to walk out of my contract, and so that's why I came 1st of October 96. In between, I was, of course, manager of 2 teams a little bit. I know that you had to write a lot about me without knowing me, or to speak about me without knowing me. That's why I've made such a long trip to come and answer all your questions. At night, I started with Arsenal. During the day, I was, of course, busy with Nagoya, because we were 9 hours ahead, and so it was possible to do it. Peter Hillwood, Danny Fiszman and David Dean came to see me, and I said, okay, I will join you, but I have a contract here, because in Japan you play from March till November, and that was in June, and I need the agreement of my club to leave in the middle of the season.
They mocked at the start, saying he was a professor in his big coat when he got there, his big jacket.
Or someone that should be teaching at university. It was just so strange seeing him.
Meeting the players for the first time, Arsene Wenger visited Arsenal's London Colney training ground and liked what he saw.
I think the board was strong, and inside the club was strong, and outside the club there was a lot of turmoil. And that was a huge difference between what has been spoken out and what was the feeling inside the club.
We have got a very glorious past. We look at the trophies we have won. We know what it's like to win in Europe. We know what it's like to win domestic honours, and we've got to replicate that.
Nobody knew. Nobody really knew about Arsene Wenger, apart from people that were niche, knowing what he was doing at Monaco.
Et qu'un entraîneur doit s'occuper à la fois du présent, mais aussi du futur. Et je pense que la fierté d'un entraîneur, quand il part dans un club, c'est aussi de laisser un héritage. C'est comme un père qui laisse quelque chose à ses fils.
I went to visit the Academy of Monaco because they wanted me, and the boss was there. And I always remember that he gave me time, which I was only 14. But it's just the type of person he is. He will charm anyone, in any room, on any subject.
Afterwards, you read about what George Weah done and dedicated his Ballon d'Or or his award to him. Read about what Glenn Hodder would say about him.
There was a belief in England that a foreign manager can never be successful. I cannot say I raised a lot of enthusiasm when I arrived. I raised a lot of skepticism.
The big story here today is that Arsene Wenger starts out in charge of Arsenal.
Don't forget, I inherited a team where the youngest players were 29, 28, and 90% of the players was over 30 years old. So it was a team of men, a team of typical English fighters. We had gone through together a lot.
There's one to chase. Hartson did well to get a piece of it. Fell nicely for Ian Wright. This is Ian Wright, and you can guess the rest.
He changed everything from 1 week, and then when he came the next week, it was a whole different thing in what we were eating, what we were doing, how we were training. Sugar, sweets, tea, everything, all out of the training ground. There was nothing there. Literally, all we could drink was water.
I think all the new ideas about data, physical performance analysis, it started all at our club. We're the first to sign the contract to analyze the physical performances of the players. We had the first with GPS.
We were watching people like Patrick Vieira, Nicolas Anelka, Manu Petit, Gilles Grimondi, Remy Gard eating like mounds of food.
Open your mouth and close your eyes. Here comes a nice surprise. But we hate spinach. Huh?
Okay, 3 hours before a game, but we were like looking at them and thinking, how are they going to be running around after eating all that food? You know, we were there still with our ham and cheese omelettes with beans and things like that. Righty, for instance, used to have a fillet steak with a fried egg on top. When we saw these guys playing in the games, we knew that it worked because they were like the non-stop running, non-stop energy.
I decided to buy Patrick Vieira because I liked always Patrick Vieira. And in fact, he was signing for, when I called him, he was in Amsterdam signing for Ajax in a few hours later. So I could divert him to take the plane the next morning to go to London and sign for Arsenal.
And I can remember distinctly coming back from Aston Villa and I hitched a lift on the team coach one day. And then after the meal, the boys broke into a chant. We want our Mars bars back.
We want our Mars bars, and of course, the likes like Repala, they wanted their beer after the game, or the other one wanted his glass of red wine after the game. I banned it all.
Yes, they wanted the chocolate back on the bus, the butter on the table.
He didn't just come in and just take it away and not tell us why he's taking everything away. It was fuel to play. That's what the food was, and so it was very bland.
Oh, Bergkamp, lovely turn, and a superb, that's the arguments. Arsenal have stolen this. They'll be in second place tonight.
It was just at the moment where Tony Adams decided not to drink anymore, so I could convince as well the team that if we want to help Tony, we have to accept as well not to drink in front of him.
And it was refreshing, and the atmosphere was wonderful. Simply because it was new and it was intriguing.
When a manager's come in with some new ideas, one way to convince players is, of course, to have this conversation and to open their mind. But the other way as well is to win football matches. I think winning the double in '98 gave him that aura.
I felt that there was a gap between Man United and us.
We had really the French invasion and Nicolas Anelka then, and Robert Pires, who was sensational. They said, well, they may not know who I am, but they know that I do bring in some good players.
Plus the old English guard at the back. That gave a good balance in the team, created a good balance, and overall, I must say, it was efficient. I come in my first full year, we win the double. Let's not forget, at some point, we were 8 points behind Man United, and we had to go to Man United and win the game.
I'm very pleased that he did come, because in the end, he enabled me to get a Premier League winners' medal.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
First and foremost, I always wanted to meet him again, because our time at Monaco was short.
All right, thank you. Lovely, thank you.
Okay, people always value coaches on what did they win, which, don't get me wrong, that's important. But I value coaches on what did I learn. Did you use me only for what you were going to win? And this is what I mean with Arsene, my brain. I started to ask myself different questions and see the game a different way. He made me a better man, and he made me a better football player, especially there.
Well, I didn't expect it to be so tough and so ruthless, you know. And I remember the turning point, '99, was when we had the semi-final of the FA Cup. And we had the replay, we had the penalty in the last minute of the second game. Dennis Bergkamp missed that penalty, and he refused always after to take any penalty. Never took again a penalty with me. In the dressing room, and it was noisy. I realized how big the rivalry was. It was like we had won absolutely everything after the game. So that's where the real rivalry became the most tough after that.
What does it mean to your title chances? You said a few weeks you'd given it up. Are you echoing those views still?
I was right, you see. It means today I think Man United has won the championship again, and maybe now we can extend the season. And Ferguson, I would say the media were scared of him most of the time, you know.
Now talk about the league fixtures being extended and remarks by Arsene Wenger today. Your reaction?
Well, Arsene Wenger seems to have a comment every week, and he's got plenty to say. He should maybe have something to say about the right tackle on Peter Schmeichel. I'd like to hear his comments on that. But he's had a go at Manchester City several times this season now. He has no experience of English football. He's come from Japan, and he's now telling everybody in England how to organise their football. And I think he should keep his mouth shut, firmly shut.
Thank you for your time. Thank you. Cheers.
Well, Sir Alex, he was a little bit the boss of England, you know. He was the boss of the bosses.
He knew deep inside that we would be up for it because of the group of players that he had. He always had this kind of confidence, belief, and that was important to us because then when we are on the field, we knew what we needed to do.
Patrick Vieira was a player. Roy Keane was a very aggressive player, a top player, but a very aggressive one. And he certainly didn't take well that everybody spoke about Vieira. But Vieira, You cannot intimidate him, you know. He can be relaxed and laid back, but if you look for him, you find him.
Nothing more in here. Thank you.
Became a little bit the symbol of rivalry between the two clubs.
Suddenly, someone could stand to Sir Alex. Not only, you know, how the press used to, in my eyes, milk it, because that's how it was. But at one point, everyone was going to tune in when it was Arsenal, Man United.
Both staring straight ahead, not looking at one another.
Slowly, they push you, of course, in the rivalry. And I was never short of a sentence. And that became more and more acrimonious and more aggressive. And once you don't play against each other anymore, it's like two boxers. You know, that you fight like mad, and with a distance, at the end of the day, you have respect. Winning is not enough. The obligation of perfection is most important for me.
He was the only one, to be honest with you, who believed that we could go through the season unbeaten. You just need one person to believe and then to spread that message to all the rest of the teams. And Arsene, from the start of the season, he knew that we could do something quite really special in there.
So I set that target to the players, and in 2003, we lost the championship. When I said to the players, what happened? They said, it's because of you. You set us an impossible target.
Well, to be fair, he said it 2002 and 3. Then we lost the games right after, I think, after he said it, which, typical me, I said it at the time, I was like, why do you have to say that? But I think he thought about it because when we won the title 0-1 or 2, we didn't lose a game away from home. People forget that. We did not lose a game away from home 0-1 or 2. We didn't. So if you take care of business at home, maybe he thought that we could do it. Arsene is very composed, calm, articulate, eloquent, until he's not. And you didn't get to see it often, but I can tell you, in a dressing room at times, was he a guy that was going to scream or not? But eyes will tell you a lot. And Arsene sometimes used to speak with his eyes. But when you're at the top, if you don't have an edge, you can't stay there.
I believe that somewhere you feel a little bit that your craziness can kill you, as well your craziness can make you achieve remarkable things. When we were wobbling, I made a mistake. We played Man United in the semi-final again at Aston Villa in the FA Cup. And Tuesday night, we played 1-1 in the Champions League at Chelsea. And I wanted to qualify against Man United because I was victim of that old rivalry. But then we played Liverpool at home. So in the same week, we could have lost everything. Our invincibility, the fact that we lost the FA Cup and the Champions League, and we were down against Liverpool at half-time.
Bidding to be the first ever Arsenal manager to win 3 English championships.
And then Thierry Henry made the miracle. He won us the game in the second half, the team revolted, and then I thought, now we can go.
people, same staff, same players, and they still have that capacity to every day come up with something new to inspire them, to keep them hungry. It's extraordinary.
Last one? Okay, last one, really last one.
After spending 22 years there, you can imagine, and he was responsible, I mean, for the training ground was really his brainchild, right down to the last teacup, because he felt that's where he was working all the time. You know, the main stadium is one thing, but that's only used 30 times a year. The training ground is used 365 days of the year.
The story around having to sign a contract to be collateral for the stadium, so then not being able to buy the players you want, you're having to use the players you've got to continue to qualify for the Champions League.
I must say, for me, it was the biggest challenge of my life. But I felt I could have a real legacy for the club, for the future of the club.
For the last time at the Emirates, it's Arsene's Arsenal. It is the end of an era for Arsene and Arsenal.
The fans acknowledged that I was faithful to the club.
Thank you all very well for having me for such a long time. I know that's not easy. But above all, I am like you, I'm an Arsenal fan.
When you consider the average length of time a manager is in a job today in the 92 professional clubs is 12 months. So to last 22 years, I don't think we'll see that again. You know, it's not just turning on the tap and getting hot water. It doesn't work quite like that.
It was tough, and I promised myself, you don't show any weakness today, you know, and finally, in a very emotional situation, I wanted to walk out with dignity and respect for people and not to break down. It's a little bit job of a manager as well to face all kinds of emotional situations and to keep control of himself.
We had a conversation and I asked him, I was doing the badges, he helped me at the club, at the academy, and again, he was an inspiration.
How would you like to be remembered at Arsenal Football Club?
Well, I would say somebody who loved passionately the club, who respected the values of the club, who left the club in a position where he can grow and move on.
In life in general, any kind of topic, he will try to guide you. Not telling you what is the right answer, but he will guide you on this kind of conversation for you to analyze by yourself what is the right decision to take.
Félicitations, Arsene, on being inducted in the Premier League Hall of Fame. It is quite an honour, and you deserve it.
I have to say congratulations, boss, simply because being the first foreign manager to come over and do it. Nice.
I always said, you know, for me, it was a father figure. We argued, we cried, we laughed. I was a pain in the neck as a player, as you can imagine. He will tell you that too, but at the end of the day, it was all love all the time.
And when you're in the Hall of Fame, you're in very good company. Was it okay?